G'day everyone. Welcome to another Toon podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's original and best podcast dedicated to all things Newcastle United. This morning I'm joined by Craig and Mark in the Sunshine State. Good morning to you two gentlemen. How are we this morning?
Good morning, mate. A little bit sunburned from my trip out yesterday, as you can see. So if I look like I'm glowing, I haven't been anywhere near Perth, near that radioactive spillage. I'm doing okay, just a little bit toasty.
No, I'm doing
Mark,
good.
How are you, mate?
I'm great. The power's back on, the aircon's working, the internet's on. It's all going ahead. So yeah, a bit of a nightmare yesterday. I'd booked a day off after Australia Day and planned to slob about the house and watch TV and play on my PlayStation, and the power went out about 10:30 and didn't get back on until about 7 o'clock at night. So yeah, not the ideal day. So I ended up having to mow lawns and put flat pack furniture together. So not the ideal relaxing day. So today is my day off now, and I'm just going to veg out.
Yes, nice. So we thought we'd jump on for a quick little fun size pod about the news that broke overnight for us that it looks like Anthony Gordon's on his way to Newcastle United for a reported £40 million fee plus performance-based add-ons, we're led to believe. A bit of conjecture about how the fee will be paid, if it's going to be installments or up front. Either way, it doesn't really matter. He's going to be playing with us. Craig, I'll come to you first, mate. How do you feel about the whole situation? It's something that seems to have divided the fan base a little bit. Where do you lie on things?
A little bit is a bit of an understatement, to be honest. I don't remember any one player where fans have either been sat on the fence or one side or the other as much as what Anthony Gordon has done. To be honest, I was on the side of, not bothered if he comes or not really fond of his attitude. But then I kind of lean towards, Eddie and Dan know their stuff and in them we trust. So sway towards that side. And now after watching some of his videos and stuff, I do think he is the right person for the job. Just hopefully I'm proven wrong on that one, because like I say, I wasn't his biggest fan and still probably not as of now.
Mark, keen to know your thoughts, mate. How do you sort of feel about the whole thing?
Look, I detest is probably too strong a word, but I was never his biggest fan in terms of his behavior in an Everton shirt. He was always that shithouse player that you never really liked his behavior on the pitch and seemed to have like a bit of a chip on his shoulder and things like that. But as I was saying to someone on social media this morning, we've got this mentality where, we don't want him because he's a shithouse. It's like, yeah, he is a shithouse, but if he's our shithouse, if he's our shithouse, then no one's going to bat an eyelid and he's going to fit straight in. I mean, let's be honest. We had at the week on Tuesday night for the UK time, Wednesday morning hours for the cup game, Murphy's waving a player off on the pitch because he gets red carded. And everyone loves him for it. Exactly. And everyone loved them for it. So, as soon as Gordon steps on that pitch in a black and white shirt, if he's performing on the pitch, nobody's going to care about his antics. Look, hopefully Eddie Howe has that calming effect on him and focuses his energy in the right places. But as Craig said, I'm like, we're almost at the point now where if Eddie Howe and Dan Ashworth think he's worth 40 million, then who are we to argue? Because they've got an absolutely flawless record so far in the transfer market. I am getting a little bit excited about him because of all of the stats and the metrics and all of that sort of stuff that we've been seeing about how he plays, his style of football, and he just seems tailor-made for this club at the moment under Eddie Howe. He's fast, he's good at like pressing the opposition, he's good in the attacking third. He just seems to sort of tick all the boxes that we're looking for in that attack-minded player for us. So yeah, look, I'm all on board with this. I'm a little bit excited about it now. After, like Craig, I was a little bit unsure, shall we say? But most of that comes down to his behavior on the pitch and the fact that he is a little bit of a shithouse. But in terms of the actual player we're getting, I'm completely sold now. And it's worth mentioning as well that while we'll probably cover this, I'm not sure what you want to talk about, but in terms of fee for an English player, that has the potential to go on and be a regular England international, that could end up being an absolute bargain, no matter how we stagger the payments.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. I did have that on the rundown sheet. I just want to, before we move on from the whole situation, I'd like to maybe not dispel, because it's really hard to change people's thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. But this whole shtick about his attitude and things like that, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, like I said before, we've got 11 players who carry on the pitch every week, every game. We wind up everyone. Callum Wilson's probably the worst in the league for doing it and winding people up. And this guy, apart from his diving, which, again, I've seen Miggy Almiron do it. I've seen ASM do it. Like, we've got players who do it too. So let's not put our head in the sand here. And to be fair, I know he hasn't played much, but Alan seems to have tempered that a little bit. He doesn't seem to do it as much as what he did. He's probably sick of Trippier whacking him for it and things like that. So I'm sure, I mean, it's not really a hard thing to change. It's very easy to stop diving. But all the rest of the stuff he does on the pitch, he's going to fit in perfectly with us. Like, he's literally the perfect player to come and play for us. Now, from what I've heard off the field, he does a lot with the local charities around the sort of Liverpool area and things like that. He seems to be a really good kid off the pitch. I'm not buying his attitude or anything like that. He did apparently miss a couple of days of training, whether that's this was going through and he didn't want to injure himself at training and jeopardize a transfer or something like that. We have no idea why he missed training. Maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't, but I mean,
so
yeah.
On that, I know a lot of people. There's been these mixed feelings on social media about him missing those training sessions as well, and that being like this supposed bad attitude. And we've been through this ourselves with Cabaye. We benefited from it when he went on strike when he was over in France to get him at the club in the first place. And then when he decided he wanted to be away, then, you know, he went on strike for us and wouldn't play. I think forcing through just because you want to go somewhere new and shiny because you're going to get a bigger pay packet and stuff like that, that's slightly different to Anthony Gordon was chased down by his own fans at a club that and completely harassed, like, while he was in his car, which is totally out of order. You know, the club's practically imploding at the moment. They've just sacked their manager. He wasn't getting game time anyway. You know, like, he's now got this kind of, oh, the grass is greener over there kind of attitude, and he wants to force it through because he doesn't feel comfortable where he is. So that, to me, kind of tempers the fact that he's missed training sessions. Apparently the first one was absolutely sanctioned and that was all good, but then he stayed away from another two or something, I think it was. Look, I mean, if that was me and I was sort of like looking to get another job somewhere, and, you know, I'd be chucking a couple of sickies because I don't want to be where I am because they're treating me badly and nobody that works there like values me or anything like that. So, you know, there is two sides to every story. And that, to me, in terms of him missing training, is definitely tempered by some of the behavior around him at the time, and the fact that he just desperately obviously wants to be away, and he's tried to force that through. So I don't blame him 100%. No one likes to see players do that and be a little bit petulant. You want to have that professional attitude when they're still being paid, but you kind of do understand a little bit of it.
Yeah, Craig, I had that sort of written down as something, a key point. After that Southampton game where they sort of waited around, I think players were held back because they knew the fans were waiting for him in the streets and stuff like that. Now, you got to remember, this kid, he's been at Everton since he was 11 years old, and he's spoken publicly about the fact that it affects him more than it affects most other players at Everton because he is an Everton fan, I guess, as well, and all his family are fans. So even though he's away from the club, he still has that fan attachment where he feels probably a lot more burden, and he takes a loss as harder than what most other players will because he's actually grown up with the club, supported the club and stuff like that. Craig, do you think that, I guess, I don't know if it's a doorstop, but getting stopped in your car and abused by your own fans after that Southampton game. Do you think that played a key role in coming to this decision?
Yes and no. Yes, purely because it was an absolute disgraceful situation that he found himself in. Should never have happened anyway. Maybe there could have been police cordons for the players to get certain distance away from the stadium, away from the fans. Definitely something that should have been looked at maybe. But I do think he also, remember, he wanted to leave in the summer transfer window as well, when Chelsea hired that 60 million quid bid in. He wanted to go then. So it's definitely been in his back of his mind for a little while. Whether it's because he knew the club is in free fall and he wants to see his talents flourish somewhere else, and that's not really going to happen at Everton. Whether that was at Chelsea, but now it looks like it's going to be at Newcastle. I don't blame him for wanting to move. And the situation with the cars and everything outside of Goodison is obviously accelerated that. And it has kind of worked in our favour. Chelsea, we know they've been a free spending club this window for all the wrong reasons. And we've done the deal, we managed to get it sorted, just got away from a rag on Tyneside. And it's a good thing and a bad thing because, yes, it's accelerated the transfer, but it also means he's leaving his boyhood club on bad terms, which is never a good thing for any player, regardless of whether you are loved or hated by the fans. It's just not something you would ever want to look back on your career, in my opinion, anyway.
It is. And the example that comes to mind for me is Wayne Rooney. I mean, he left to go to Man United. I don't think he left on the best of terms either, but he did go back there at the end of his career, didn't he? So, and he was welcomed back. So you never know. I mean, he's young enough. He's only 21. So, yeah. But I think the mental side of things of having to carry that Everton burden with him every day is something that really would have played a role in this. And no doubt that fan interaction would have also, I think it maybe just solidified his decision that I don't really want to be here. I can't live this life every day. Now, our fans are passionate and up there with probably the best in the country when it comes to supporting their club and things like that. But I can't remember us ever doing that to a player. I mean, the worst they get is stopping for autographs, driving into the training ground. So hopefully he can just come up here and play, and I think everyone's going to get behind him. I don't think he's going to get booed and things like that. I want to do this a different way, Mark. I've been thinking, and I did do a list on my phone of pros and cons about the whole transfer. So I'm going to start with the cons. Now, my list, I'll be honest, my list wasn't that long with the sort of negatives of this transfer. But can you think of any off the top of your head?
I think it's just the baggage that comes with the fan perception of how he behaves. And as you said, it's like, it's more the diving, I think. Everyone frowns upon players who actively dive. And I think, we've seen it with Miggy, where he was starting to get a lot of bad attention off fans of other clubs because he was diving quite a lot. That seems to have gone from his game now. And, credit to Eddie Howe if that's an Eddie Howe thing. And hopefully Gordon gets the same sort of like attention to, look, you don't need to be doing this. You're good enough to affect the game without having to try and con the refs and everything. But apart from that, he maybe doesn't have the end product that you would hope to have for a player of his reputation, I guess you would say. It's like you kind of would think you're getting more for what you're paying for, because he does come with quite a high reputation. But even then, that's like kind of not the big deal because he's only 21. So that's probably the only two really bad things that I can think of for this transfer. I mean, the price is high, I guess, but we've seen other England players go for a hell of a lot more than that. If he, as I said earlier on, if he turns out to be a regular England international, then we've got an absolute bargain
for 40 million.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, like I've spoken about the English tax. It's real, but it's deserved. So you're not paying 40 million for a foreigner to come in. You're not sure if they're going to settle. You don't know how they're going to adapt to the league. This guy's a Premier League regular. He knows the league. He knows the country. You've got no secrets or no sort of, I don't know even know what the word is, but you know what you're getting. you're not paying for something you're not sure about. So I'll take that. Craig, have you got any other negatives? By the way, Mark, that's literally all I had. It was a question mark on his finishing ability, which is something we've obviously struggled with the last nearly since the World Cup, I reckon, is our lack of finishing. And that was a question mark on the price, but I think sometimes you just got to pay a little bit more to get things done. Have you got anything else, Craig, that you can think it's a negative on this transfer?
The only one thing that I've looked at is his disciplinary record. This season already, he's played 16 games for Everton in the Premier League alone, and he's got 6 yellow cards. So, and he's only started 12 of those games as well. Whether that's, again, he's just caught in the moment of the game. I know he's a very physical player, even though he doesn't look it. He does get to get the odd tackling every now and again. Whether it is literally a case of he's just overexcited, he is still a new kid on the block. We've got to remember that as well. So he's got a lot of learning to do. So that sort of thing. But disciplinary could be a thing. I know we're actually really high in the disciplinary chart right now. I think we're sat third in the yellow and red card table, effectively. So we're actually one of the most disciplined. Yeah, we're one of the most disciplined teams in the league. So hopefully that is something that can be coached into as well. But that is really the only downside I can see. Can't really comment on his form or anything because Everton have been struggling, and he is effectively a diamond in a rough in that squad. So hopefully that diamond can be polished.
Well, judging by some of your stuff in the group chat, I hope he's got a little bit of polishing to do because we're not going to go into that now. So we'll finish off positive, and we'll get around him. We'll throw arms around him. Mark, I'll come back to you. Give me something you're looking forward to seeing from Anthony Gordon in a black and white shirt.
There's been a fair few threads on social media. I think Twitter's had a couple of people that have done very extensive looks at Anthony Gordon, his play style, his statistics, and how he plays, and everything just ticks the boxes of an Eddie Howe player. For us, he just seems to fit the mold. He's very energetic. He's very pacey. I think we saw a table the other day where he's actually one of the quickest players in the Premier League at the moment, like in terms of top speed, which is really impressive to have. He's got a high expected goals, and expected goals is something that does my head in because it's like, well, what does that even mean? It's like, It seems to be this weird stat that everyone focuses on nowadays, and it came out of nowhere. It's like someone's just made shit up just to kind of appease statistics junkies or something. But he is high on that, so well, let's tick that box. But he presses hard, and I think that's potentially where his yellow cards are coming from, is that he does press the opposition hard. And if you're doing that and you're trying to put tackles in, then they're not always all going to come off, and sometimes you're going to be a bit late.
It's hard to slow down on that top speed.
It's hard to slow down when you're running that fast, and you're doing it because you're trying to pressure the opposition to make mistakes, to win the ball back, to make those tackles. So at what point do you kind of go, well, we'll take the hit on a couple of yellow cards here and there because we've got this player who's really buying into our high press system and really sort of putting that pressure onto the opposition. He does have quite good statistics in terms of getting into the final third as well. I think he just ticks a lot of boxes for what we need right now. He can play all along that front three if he needs to, which gives us good strength in depth, which is what we've all been on about, and that's why we needed to make a move in this window, because in terms of our squad depth at the moment, we don't have that extra quality in depth that we really need to be trying to secure a top 4 position. Obviously he's cup tied, so he's not going to be any factor in the Southampton game, even if he does sign in time. But look, we'll take that. I'm sure he'll be here. He'll get his cup games in future seasons. But no, I think the more I've looked at him in terms of how he plays and how he would fit into our side, the more I've bought into it over the last few days, to the point where I would have actually been almost disappointed if it hadn't come off. I think he'll be a very good fit for how Eddie Howe wants to play.
Yeah. Craig, I'll come to you, mate. Give me something positive and sort of something we can look forward to seeing.
This is something we touched on at the very beginning, and we all knocked them for it, but I am looking forward to maybe some of these shithouse antics. Just purely because of the fact that we are known as Eddie's shithouse mags, and that's only just going to escalate further. That type of stuff is only going to attract more fans, to be honest, and possibly get us even more hate. And the more hate, the better. But like I say, it's Newcastle versus the world right now, and bring it on. I'm absolutely loving it so far. And the other thing is how frightening we could very well be on those counter attacks with his pace. 36.6 kilometers an hour he's been clocked at this season, which puts him the fastest person in the Premier League, just ahead of Darwin Núñez. So we've already got pace in that squad with the likes of Willock, Miggy, ASM, Isak, Wilson. Throw Gordon into that mix, and we've literally got a steam train coming charging towards your defence and goalkeeper. So it's going to be epic to watch when we're in full flow.
Yeah, 100%. So you pretty much ticked off everything I had on my positive list as well. And his age is also going to be a great thing. We're looking to lower our age demographic, and it being a 21-year-old, I think, is a great thing. I think I could honestly see him winning everyone over in the first game. I mean, one little petulant act of shithousery will just get everyone on side straight away. Now, in an ideal scenario, I guess I'd love this is just pie in the sky thinking, but I'd love his, I don't know what they call them, a welcome video or intro video, announcing video of him and Trippier and Fabian Schär sort of shaking hands and things like that. I'd love to see something like that. And I think the best way for him to endear himself, I guess, to the people who aren't fully on board with the Ed is just if you can get around and support his teammates during his first game. If an incident happens, he gets in and flies the flag straight away. And I think everyone will love to see that. He's bought in. He's one of the boys now, and he's willing to fight with everyone else. So I think that could be something.
I think the first game, as long as he goes out there and he gives it 100% in the first game, and he does that hard stuff off the ball, like closing the opposition down and working hard, which is what he does. Exactly.
Yeah. All he's got to do is play his way.
The fans are just going to see that and go, "Oh hell yeah, okay, fair enough. He's putting himself about. He's doing the dirty stuff that we need him to do." And then if he gets on the end of something and manages to score a goal at some point, then everyone's just going to forget about all of the negatives and just like concentrate on what we've actually got. And I think potentially that's going to be a hell of a player for us long term.
Yeah, I could definitely see the point in the game where, like most other new signings we have, he doesn't start straight away. He comes on as a sub at the end of the game, and he's on the touchline, and Tyndall just puts his arm around him with a twinkle in his eye, I think. And I think he's just the type of guy that Jason Tyndall would love. And he just, gives him a wink and says, just go out there and be you, mate, because you are what we want. So definitely looking forward to that. Just touch on finally, Kieran Trippier as a contract extension to the end of the 24-25 season, which brings him to 35 years old, which hopefully makes him see his career out here. Craig, he was the trailblazer, I guess, for us. He was the first one to sign in January when no one really wanted to, and it's always hardest, especially when you're second bottom of the table. No one wants to be the first, just in case no one else comes. But he was the first, and he was the trailblazer, and it's pretty good to see him wrapped up for basically the rest of his career, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And his influence on the pitch is probably even greater off the pitch as well. The way he's put his arms around certain players, he's improved Miggy significantly, and other players like Serrano have just followed his lead. He's got an immense amount of quality. Leadership is certainly up there with one of the best of his qualities. And his experience, as well as he's probably the most experienced player in our entire squad right now. When you think of the international appearance he's had, the competitions he's played in, whether it be domestic, international, overseas in Spain, wherever. He's played in the Champions League final, European finals for England. He won La Liga, and was it the Copa del Rey in Spain as well. So he's got a winning mentality, and that's exactly what we wanted from day one of that first player coming in. Couldn't be happier for him. He loves the club, and we love him back just as much, if not more.
Yeah. Mark, I think I reckon I wouldn't be surprised from the start of next year he'd be full-time Kieran Trippier. Would you agree with that?
Should be for sure, definitely.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm sure you've been hanging out to put that one in.
Yeah, I have.
Nah, look here. I mean, he is like Captain Fantastic on and off the pitch for us. He's been such a monumental leadership tool for us just to turn things around. It would kind of make sense, and I mentioned this off air, that if that new contract takes him through to a 35, I believe. And there's still talk that he might carry on a little bit more than that. By then, you'd kind of hope we've got someone like Harrison Ashby or another young up and coming right back that's kind of had a little bit of time to get mentored off him, if you like, and sort of be coming through the system. Sure. And Trippier then starts to kind of take a little bit more of a back seat. But I don't think his influence in the dressing room will diminish any. If not, it's going to get stronger, to the point where it would make sense to like get him in as a coaching staff, like player coach or something, for the last year of his contract, and just get that benefit from him both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic no-brainer. Really, he loves, like Craig said, he loves us, we love him. It's a match made in heaven. So glad to have him on. Well, that just about wraps us up, I reckon. Like I said, we're just a little fun-sized, bite-sized pod. Anyone who's watching, once again, love to give us a like, comment, jump on our socials, stuff like that. Get around Anthony. He's going to be one of us now, so it's really important we throw our arms around him, welcome him to the club like we can with most other signings. I dare say if anything breaks in the next kind of 3 or 4 days, we'll probably jump on and do another pod, little snap transfer pod. Anyone wants to jump on. And then we'll also have a big wrap up, I think, Monday night Australian time, which will probably be Monday morning in the UK. A transfer wrap. We'll preview the second leg of our League Cup semi-final against Southampton. So, yeah, stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled on our socials and things like that. If anything drops, yeah, we'll definitely jump on and talk about it, because that's what we love doing. So, boys, appreciate you making the time to jump on and do this. Have a great Saturday, great weekend. Hopefully we can sign 1 or 2 more players. That'd be really, really fantastic to push on the second half of the year. But like I said, that'll do for now. Craig, thanks very much, mate. Enjoy your Saturday.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
Mark, same to you, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Cheers. Time for some relaxation and a quick eye onto Twitter in case there's any Madison news breaks.
Yeah, absolutely, we're in the constant refreshing of Twitter.
Yes.
Time of the transfer.
It's taken a while, but we're back. We're back to that.
We finally got there. Yeah. So same goes for everyone else. Make sure your devices are charged, your thumbs are strong, and we'll see you as soon as we can. Thanks, boys.
Cheers, lads. Bye.
Cheers, Keegs.